Law number 6, the law of desire. Talent has to choose you first. So you need to be on their list before they start looking. Let's play a game. I'll make up a company, let's call it Fake Corp, and I'm going to spend $10,000 posting a fake job to job boards. Now, there's no company of this name, so you won't find it on LinkedIn, or there was no career site. There's no Glassdoor reviews. There's nothing on YouTube or anything in Google. There's just that one job post, and it quite clearly says sponsored next to it. So with that in mind, I have a question. Do you think a candidate will apply? More to the point, do you think a quality candidate will apply? Now, $10,000 is no small amount of money, and for many companies, it's the entirety of their annual recruiting ad budget. Now, if you ask the vendors, they'll tell you, spend the money and good candidates show up. But is that what you expect to happen? Yeah, me neither. Instead, you'll get a pile of resumes of people who probably didn't even read the fake job posting. They'll be people who don't come close to meeting even the most basic qualifications. And I'm not talking about the if it requires, has 6 requirements and you only meet 5, apply anyway kind of thing. I'm talking about in any rational world, if I hire this person for this role, they should fire me and sue me for negligence kind of way. You're going to get dozens, maybe even hundreds of applications, but will any of them be worth the bytes that their resume are stored on? Probably not. This little thought experiment is here to prove something simple. For all the work you do and the money you spend, you can't choose quality candidates to apply until they've chosen you first. This requires having a reason to choose you. But we generally offer paltry reasons to choose us. Benefits? Yeah, they look like everybody else's. A DEI statement? Well, it's meaningless without examples that define the shape and the commitment. A badge that says you're a good place to work on the career site? Yeah, anybody can pay for those. Most candidate experiences between awareness and application look exactly the same. Even when companies are legitimately different somehow, they do a horrible job communicating that differentiated value. Consequently, we live in a world of employer blanding. But that does not have to be a fatal diagnosis. Instead of thinking about how to attract people, you should be thinking about how to create the desire for what you have to offer. It's not the same. Now, it might seem strange to see the word desire in relation to recruiting. And that in itself is kind of strange, if not a little sad. Don't you want people to want to work at your company? Don't you want them to want what you have to offer? Don't you want them to want what you offer so much that they ignore all the other recruiters from all the other companies? Isn't that what your hiring managers, your HRBPs, and even your leadership wants? So let's embrace the word desire, because it rather accurately describes the core of employer branding and recruiting success. Why this works? Well, we all need jobs. It's really expensive to exist in the world, so those of us not blessed with trust funds gotta go work so we can do things like eat and watch Netflix later. But just because we're all forced to get jobs doesn't mean we aren't all seeking to maximize our options. Maybe we'd prefer to work in an office than a mine, or prefer to work from home than an office. We have preferences of what we want in the place where we're going to spend 8 to 12 hours a day. But the word preference doesn't really do it justice. Think back to when you were a child. Did you want to be a recruiter, a brander, a marketer? Or did you want to be a fireman, a teacher, or a baseball player? My daughter is still planning on being a ballerina veterinarian who spends her weekends as a scientist on the space station. And I'd make fun of her, but some part of me is still holding out the hope that I'm going to hear back from that emperor role I applied for when I was 12. Any marketer will tell you that it's a whole lot easier to sell your wares when people really want them. When those wares align with what the customer values and allows them to do something they want to do. And jobs are no different. But between the choice of a job that they're going to tolerate and a job they're going to desire, there's really no choice at all. Where this falls apart. Desire is specific, which means it's also non-universal. For every person who thinks a Hemsworth or a Rihanna or whoever's on the list of most attractive celebrities these days is the most attractive person in the world, there are dozens of people who would prefer an Alan Rickman or a John C. Reilly or a Megan Mullally or a Kristen Schaal. Takes all kinds, right? But that's the thing. No one can be desirable to everybody. So the winning strategy is to be specific about whom you are desirable and why. That decision means that there will be people who don't desire you, and that's fine. In fact, having a pool of people who don't want you is proof that you're on the right track. This unwillingness to be specific is the root cause of employer branding. Leadership thinks of what employer branding does as being a company mascot and hands them pom-poms and expects them to spout nothing but raw positivity, like, go team, who do we mean? We'll say it loud because we're proud. What does any of that mean? But this is about as specific as most companies get. So if you want to create desire, you have to start by understanding what people will desire about you, which means getting very specific, which is a law we're going to dive into, about what it is people should desire from you. Example, I've yet to see any proof that Google spends any real money on employer branding. And yet, they've topped Universum's most desired employer list for more than a decade. Why? Well, because in the early days, they found a way to be desirable amongst the code all night set in the Bay Area. You know, offering them food, places to crash, snacks, great coffee, all at a time when many coders were still expected to wear ties to work. Feels weird, right? Google was seen as offering the best of both worlds, offering startup credibility and freedom, but the stability and growth of a far more established company. And that feeling helped them attract so many candidates and applicants that, according to rumor anyway, Google often ignores the raw tonnage of applicants in their ATS and only considers candidates who have gotten an internal referral. That is the power of desire. Get it right, make it real, and you'll never want for quality applicants again.